The Bible is Holy Scripture. Holy Scripture is defined as a document or documents considered sacred and authoritative by a community. Many communities consider the Bible a single document from Genesis to Revelation. However, each book and story has its own life and history. Before the Old Testament existed, there were scrolls of Isaiah, Psalms, and Deuteronomy, and so on. Before the scroll of Genesis or any other book, there were oral stories about the flood, Abraham and Sarah, the Tower of Babel, and Joseph. Where did the narratives and scrolls come from? How did God inspire them? This requires a long story to explore the possibilities, and some of the earliest traditions will be discussed in Chapter 4. Let's focus on how the scrolls came together as individual documents and then as a collection of scrolls. It is known that from the establishment of the monarchy in Jerusalem in about 1000 BCE, sections of books and whole books began to be written down. Many books came from smaller stories originating as oral narratives told by community storytellers. This oral tradition was common because only a few people were literate, and those who could write worked for kings. These scribes were rare and honored. The rest of the communities and people in the ancient world shared stories by telling them over and over. A written record of the stories on scrolls was a costly endeavor that only kings and nations could afford. Exactly how the stories and poems came to be in larger books is a mystery. No records inside or outside the Bible describe the selection process or when each scroll/book was recorded in writing. More stories, poems, and prophetic books were in existence than we have today. Some stood the test of time, while others did not. All that can be generally said is that the stories were first gathered by the community storytellers in different groups of Israelites and Judeans beginning sometime after 1000 BCE, and the collecting continued for centuries after that. Even this time frame is debated among scholars. Some argue that the Hebrew Bible came together from 1000 to 600 BCE. Others say the Bible was not composed until much later, between 399 and 100 BCE, as a mythical work by Jewish nationalists. Most scholars believe that many of the texts of the Hebrew Bible were written between 800 and 600 BCE. However, although these earlier scrolls were authoritative, they were also editable and were edited until around the time of the New Testament. Still, other books of the Hebrew Bible were not penned until the Hellenistic period, which began around 323 BCE and ended in 64 BCE. Many scholars believe that by the end of the 2nd century CE, the Hebrew scriptures were canonized and closed, meaning that no other books would be added and that the texts would no longer be edited or changed.